Hey everybody, AlzaboHD here, and welcome back to the Stellaris Terrascian Union, Episode 7. It's been a long time, I know guys, but I am ready to continue this series right where we left off, so let's go ahead and load up our game over here. Let's look for it really fast. I believe it's Terrascian Union. Let's give this a go. So, in fact, before I get started, interesting tidbit. There has been an update, or rather 2 updates, since I've last played Stellaris, and I know it's been about maybe 3 or 4 weeks now, about a month, and I just want to say that I'm really excited to check out the new features of this update, and I'm just making sure that this is where we left off, yeah. So in the last episode, we have successfully kind of colonized Terrascian, and also the system of Rearmament. Big news with the current update, in fact. It has changed the way the mechanics of the slavery faction have played out. So in the past, as you guys have noticed, the slaves were kind of content to just not really mind their lot. They were, more or less completely subservient and obsequious to the Empire. But now, the slaves are going to be branching off into 2 different factions. In fact, we're going to have the complacent faction, and we're going to have kind of like the, uncomplacent kind of malcontent slaves. Now we don't really see this just yet because I think this save is from a previous version of Stellaris, but we will see it, I think, again as we soldier on into the future. Now, before we get started again, it has been quite some time since I've actually played Stellaris, so you'll have to give me, some credit here as I kind of rebuild my knowledge of this game right along here with you guys. So again, quick recap. Last game we have taken Rearmament and Terrascian. We've kind of expanded our domain into 4 different core, territories. And what's interesting is that I don't believe our current setup is taking into account our solar system, our Solus system. Now I'm just going to double check really quickly. Okay, so it is the solar system. So we must have a frontier outpost established somewhere, potentially over here. I think we actually have it set up in the Vengeance system. Let's go and just double check really quick. No, we have a planet set up over there. Very nice. Let's go check over here. This is so we've set up a frontier outpost in the Duranma system. Very cool. So what's also interesting is I think they've changed the amount of influence it costs. As soon as I unpause this game, I think this stuff is going to change. Let's just double check really quick. Yeah, so we might actually be on a old version of Stellaris, and I have updated it. I've opted to update Stellaris, so this is a bit strange. We actually don't even have a slave faction anymore. So, as with most Paradox interactive games, I think that if you load up a game that you started in a previous version, as in a previous, patch, sometimes things get broken, and I think this is what we're seeing right now, but we're going to try to continue this series, and of course, if we can't, we can always make a new series. So in the last episode, I was mentioning that we need to build up our fleet in the solar system in order to perhaps take on an enemy, right? One of these empires right from the beginning, vassalize them, add them to our empire. I think the weaker of the 2 neighbors would probably be the Grak-Naplaran Empire, right? Because they border us in the north. They look like kind of cute, adorable space foxes, but we don't like them. Again, because, they're collectivist, so they can kind of fit in to our empire, but they're xenophobic, so they hate us. Anyways, we need to build up our navy. Meaning that we should go ahead and go directly into Solus, and in fact, we should probably go ahead and build up a spaceport on our other planets, just so this way we can kind of make sure that we get, a little bit of defense, because spaceports do have the defensive value, but we can also pump out some spaceships. So why don't we go ahead and set up, right, so build a spaceport. It's going to cost a few minerals, right? So let's go ahead and build up some more ships in the Solus system. While making sure that in our ship designer, we have auto-generated best designs. So we do. And it actually looks like they might have changed the background in the patch. This looks very cool. I think this is brand new. I have yet to see a background that looks like this. Very, very cool, but enough filler. Let's go ahead and start getting some ships out of here. So it looks like, actually, we have already queued up a colony ship and some corvettes. So why don't we go ahead and queue up some more corvettes. I'm going to have 2 in the queue, that's fine. We'll save our minerals again to make another spaceport, perhaps in Terrascian. So another big addition to Stellaris that I have yet to mention is that this directly colonized controlled systems, this used to be directly controlled planets. Now they changed this, which means that you could basically have as many planets in a certain system as you like, and this is only going to count for 1. So for example, in Alpha Centauri, we have basically 2 planets, right, that we could colonize. Of course, we don't really want to colonize a tundra world, but basically, let's say that this system has 4 or 5 continental worlds. Now, it used to be if I colonized 4 of these worlds, it would count towards 4 of my limit, thus kind of sending me over the soft cap. But now what it is I can basically colonize all the planets in a system, and it will only count for 1 because it's only counting the system as opposed to the planets. This is a great addition. It's going to allow us to kind of make the most of systems that have multiple worlds that we can colonize. And being the space communists that we are going to be looking for continental worlds. So ideally, this particular update is going to make it so that we want to colonize, systems that have lots and lots of continental worlds, or at the very least worlds that we can colonize in the future. Now this is good because we actually already have some systems that we could eventually colonize, potentially with the help of some enslaved species. Because remember, we are all about enslavement here in the Terrascian Union. That's what we are all about. So let's go ahead and stop talking and just really quickly kind of see what's going on in our empire, right? So we are 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 1 more pop before we can set up a planetary. What do you call these things again? Sorry, it's been a while to upgrade. And so planetary administration, we need 5 pops. Let's go and check our 2 planets. Looks like they're both relatively small, so we're going to go ahead and send out our next colonization ship, I think, over here. Although Alpha Centauri 2 only has 13 tiles, which is pretty crappy. Why don't we look for... Sirius might be a bit better, which has 18 tiles, I believe. Let's just go and double check to see if there's anything bad about this planet. Yeah, so 95, and it's also going to cost us influence now. This is another change they've added in their most recent update, 1.2, the Clark update. So, yeah, so influence is going to be harder to come across. It's going to kind of be a sink for a lot of different types of resources, so that's good. Well, it's not good, but, it is what it is. So anyways, right now our construction ship is headed out to Jaffin, or Torum, sorry, to construct some stuff. Very, very cool. So yeah, let's go ahead and unpause the game. Kind of see what happens, right? So construction ship is under attack. Oh, that's not good. Let's see what's going on over here. We've got some space amoebas. Never really liked those. We want to retreat, but there's only 27 days left until the FTL tribe is ready. But we are currently warping, so it's okay. Managed to get out of there in time. Just in the nick of time, right? So, right, so we're going to go back to Solus with our fleet, the first fleet, to repair. And, yeah, so far everything is going to plan. Again, we would like to kind of conquer this area over here, the Grathian Empire. I believe they have, are they tropical? Let's just double check to see what type they're best suited for. Tropical worlds, yeah, so we're going to want to enslave them, or rather vassalize them, and then later on integrate them into our empire, because there's lots of tropical worlds kind of surrounding us, or at least I think there is. Yeah, there's a few. Nothing crazy. But again, our next colonization ship is going to go out here to Sirius, because there's an 18-tile world, which is pretty impressive. So always a good thing there. So, now that our construction ship is here, what are we missing the most here? We do need some energy credits, but minerals are by and far the most useful resource. Let's just double check to make sure that all of our resources within our current borders have been currently exploited, and they have. So let's go ahead and opt to create those mining stations for the mineral, or rather energy resources. And again, later on we can make more construction ships. So as I mentioned, interestingly enough, the faction, the Emancipation Movement, has started. This is a faction that is brand new as of the most recent patch, and basically what it consists of are free population, as in free pops, of our current population, so Terrascian citizens, who basically say, let's free all the slaves, right? Like, we're not cool with being collectivists, we're not cool with all that, and it's led by Giulio Casada. Now, let's see what our options are, and there's no possible options yet. And they're working to radicalize and arm enslaved populations. Well, that's pretty bad. We don't want that. And we certainly don't want Giulio Casada. And if there were more options, and I'm pretty sure there will be in the future, like perhaps assassinating the leader of the movement, could probably quash the movement before it even became a problem. But as it stands, we don't really have this option. So be that as it may, we must have to deal with it for now. So we're going to repair the fleet, of course. Let's go and double check on the first fleet. We can kind of clean out our galactic neighborhood of space amoebas, laying the foundation for our galactic neighborhood, right? Because we want to expand in this particular area. There might be some aliens over here. We haven't really come in contact with them yet, but really anything is possible at this stage just because we are very, very early on in the game. And this is good news that we were able to kind of retrograde our game, meaning that our current update is compatible, which is fantastic. So construction in St. Yaganov has completed. I believe we're just clearing some of these garbage tiles. But the problem is because this was a robotic kind of planet, none of these tiles really yields anything, which is a bit of a problem, right? We'll eventually set this up with a sector, and, you know, just so that we don't go over our limit. This is basically a useless planet. It does have 18 tiles. Those robotic remains, which is nominally supposed to give us some sort of engineering research. Yeah, because it's a flat for engineering research, but really, there's not really too much to add on in St. Yagarov. We want to get rid of that pretty much immediately, as soon as we can. And it looks like we've got a support of 3 for our Emancipation Movement now, which is a bit of a problem. And again, we can't do anything with it just yet. Let's look. So in Terrascia, right? Who is supporting this movement? Because they're pretty much all decadent. They're all collectivist. So if they're collectivists, they should tolerate slavery, right? At least nominally. We still have some growth on this planet. That's good. We will eventually have to clear out some of these tiles, but for the moment, that's fine. We do want more minerals, though, and we will get some more once this Terrascian pop is finished. So again, as long as we have at least 1 pop per planet that is enslaved, our decadent trait will go away. So again, the decadent trait's pretty bad if the pops are not enslaved, but if they are, it's okay. Again, I'm trying to think of what enslavement actually does. I do know that it gives me perhaps a bonus, right? Yeah, it gives me bonus for minerals. So why not just enslave all populations that produce minerals? Of course, you really shouldn't enslave populations that, you know, work. For example, research tiles, because this will decrease their productivity. You can't have enslaved scientists. Never a good idea. But instead, we can focus on the workers, the manual laborers. So with that being said, let's go to the other planets and just double check. Yeah, so this planet doesn't really have anything going for it yet. And so yeah, mineral resource extraction, gonna be enslaved. Food, I believe you can also enslave as well, but I'm not gonna enslave them. I'm just gonna enslave the minerals for now. We can work out the details later. So the fleet led by Heather Chandling has finished repairing. Fantastic. Why don't we go into our galactic neighborhood and again kind of harden up our troops, make sure they're ready for battle with the Grathnan Empire, which I've mentioned that I might go to war with in this particular episode. I mentioned in the last episode, in fact. But we do need to kind of beef up our navy a little bit. We do need more, you know, for example, we do need more military power, because as you guys can see, each, you know, basically space station, right, spaceport, has more military power than my fleet, and that's a problem, because if we are going to go to war with an empire, not only will we have to take on the, you know, basically the power of their navy, but we'll also have to take on, you know, for example, their spaceports that protect their, for example, planets. And that's a problem, so we'll get to that in a minute. We are warping to Sargus. Let's go ahead and see if we can't pop some crystalline entities and take some experience in the process, right? So scientist is level up. Fantastic. Just double check really quick our technology. So none of this is really going to happen very soon. And in fact, technology decreases basically in a positive correlation with what your population is. So for example, the more populated your empire is, the slower this progress is going to happen, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. Right, so these crystalline entities have more military power than my navy, which is a problem. Perhaps if I went to a different system, we could potentially fight something that's a bit more, you know, something that we could chew off a bit more, right? We don't want to bite off more than we can chew here. Let's go back to Sargus. Make sure we're warping out of here. Take 15 days, not too bad. Of course, I could go ahead and warp up even more, keeping in mind that, you know, once we're in combat, it'll be hard for us if we're doing this at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So we've gone ahead and already developed the energy credits of the Terra system with our construction ship. Let's go ahead and go now and improve. Oh, could make some research stations. That's always a good idea. Of course, this will increase our engineering research, which is always a very good thing. Here in the Japan system, we see that just like the crystalline entities, these enemies have a military power of 270. So again, we really can't engage them yet, which is kind of crappy. You know, I do want to engage these guys at some point. Why don't we go ahead and use our military ships to scout about, right? Because this is the thing that we need to do. We can't take on these enemies yet, so why not just go ahead and scout about our neighborhood while we wait. At least that's the idea. Something like that should work for the time being, and then I'll have them go back to Solus. Perfect. So that'll work while we get our colony ship up and running. Let's go and fast forward quite a bit more. Our ship, the Columbus, has completed the system survey at Ginham, which is fantastic. Why don't we go ahead and system survey some more stuff in our galactic neighborhood, right? So for example, things outside of Sirius might be useful, because we are going to colonize this one next. So why don't we go ahead and, well, there's a project in this system. What might that be? Debris. I don't really care about debris yet, but it'll be useful to survey the system, and perhaps afterwards we can kind of queue up researching it. So, for example, something that's interesting that you guys might not know is that you can right-click to, you know, survey just like normal, but then you can shift right-click to set it to a queue. So what I just did is I shift right-clicked research projects. So this science ship, the Columbus, with, you know, Buana Okeki, the scientist, is going to go to the system, survey it, and afterwards research the debris. All in one. Very, very easy to kind of chain together commands, just like so. Very, very simple. And in fact, this game is actually quite a bit better now with the new patches, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it evolves in the future with, you know, DLC and all that. Because, I mean, this is a Paradox interactive game. It's basically inevitable that there's going to be DLC, right? There's always DLC in Paradox interactive games. So our new colony ship, the Gato, is going to head over to Sirius 3 and colonize the planet. We will set up the administrative building, somewhere we can maximize that 4-tile bonus. Maybe over here. I never like to set it up in the corners, just aesthetically it doesn't look that great, but it doesn't really matter. So we can name it Sirius Prime. I like that. But why don't we go for something a little bit more, No, you know what, that's fine, whatever. Sirius Prime, that's fine. Now we're going to change the name of Gaozu. It kind of sounds too Chinese for me. I mean, Terrascian Union, it's got to be Soviet, right? Let's name this, well, Leningrad is too Russian. Why don't we name this place, no, it's got a strong magnetic field. Why don't we just name it like Magnetopolis? I don't know, that's a pretty terrible name. Magnetograd. No, that's the best thing I can come up with right now. If you guys think of anything better, feel free to leave it in the comment box below. Again, I'm not really great at spur-of-the-moment decisions, like naming, you know, something like that. But again, I knew that that name didn't really fit the theme of the Terrascian Empire, so we're going to change it. That being said, though, now that our colony ship is up and running, the solar system is now going to make some new ships for us, new corvettes for us. Because again, we haven't really researched or upgraded our spaceport yet to produce, you know, other sorts of ships that we can use, military ships, for example. So we can also go ahead and upgrade the spaceport module that runs Terrascia. But again, nothing really looks good here. So why don't we go ahead and go to, well, let's go up here to Terrascian, right? Because it's on the border with the enemy. Well, the enemy, not quite the enemy yet. Gropping an empire. We're going to go build a spaceport. Again, this will offer not only defense, but it'll allow us to repair our units and train more of them. So, very, very good thing. And we need to use our minerals somewhere, right? So, might as well use it there. Construction ship is done and idle. Why don't we go ahead and send it to do something else, such as go to Drama, where it can maybe build a research station or something. Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. It's okay. We've actually come across an unidentified empire to the west, which is okay. Yoda aliens. Yeah, so we've got empires surrounding us. Pretty much, you know, the west, the north, and the south. But the east looks very, very ripe for colonization. And, of course, the faster we do this, the better, because the mid-game, early game, basically about staking your claim in as much territory as possible before you have to deal with, you know, federations and enemies and alliances and all of that really kind of complicated stuff that we'll deal with eventually, but not right now. So with this corvette that we have over here, outside the Solus system, why don't we go ahead and use it to scout about, right? Because we've got another guy that's scouting around. We'll go ahead and scout over here. There's bound to be at least a fallen empire somewhere. More than likely it'll be in a corner, like over here. We won't go too far with this guy. Just until over there, and we'll send back to the solar system. So this is good. Scout out a bit more territory while we wait for more of our ships to be made, right? Outside of our capital. And we're gonna make some more corvettes. And we might actually make a science ship as well pretty soon. Just not immediately. So our construction ship is here, but he doesn't have enough resources to make anything. So we're going to have to wait until the next month rolls around. So maybe he just might be able to make a research station now, and he can, which will give us some societal research. So that's good. Better than nothing, at least, that's for sure. We do have an idle corvette in the solar system, and in fact, these corvettes are being produced incredibly fast. That's a good thing. Very, very good thing. We might be able to actually beat back those space amoebas, those pesky space amoebas, once we meet back up. So continents are worlds, but they're unfortunately kind of, you know, a neglected neighborhood of our neighbor, which is a problem. But again, we'll get there in a minute. And I'd like to conquer my neighbors before I kind of discover the rest of the world, because the faster I conquer them, the better. Meaning that I get kind of a negative opinion modifier. You know, if the civilization doesn't like warmongering, and pretty much no civilization does like warmongering, besides fallen empires who just don't care about anything besides themselves. But what I mean by that is that if I conquer, let's say, the Gothian Empire and the Istrani hierarchy before I meet anybody else, they're not going to care, because they didn't know me, they didn't know my warmongering ways. But if I wait until I meet half of the known world and make a move on these two countries, pretty much half the known world might join a coalition against me. They might hate me because, you know, they knew that I was up to no good. So the faster I make a move on my neighbors, the better. And this is a recommendation I have to you guys who are watching this. You know, make sure that you know, if you're going to be a warmonger, do it sooner rather than later, just to maximize that, you know, sort of thing. If you're a min-maxer, I'm not a min-maxer, but I like to get this type of stuff done, again, earlier rather than later. The good news that we have is that, ooh, ancient mining drones, where are those? So probably down here? Yeah. We found a continental world, in fact, down here, and Lawum. Let's take a look at it really quick. That's tropical world. Over here. 16, yeah, that's not too bad. Plan size is 16. Well, that's about normal, about average. There's an ancient mining drone over there. We can always take it out later. And he's still kind of scouting about. That's fine. Why don't we go ahead and make yet another corvette That way, once our troops get back, we can kind of take on those crystalline entities. And Sirius Prime is still being colonized. We're almost there, which is very, very good news. Fantastic, in fact. And where's the space amoebas at? Okay, we don't really care. That system, yeah, we don't really care. So why don't we go ahead and send the first fleet over into Terrascia, into orbit. Have them upgrade to the latest design as well. And then once they're done upgrading, we can merge them together and have some fun stuff. So, interesting. We've received a transmission. These guys are really ugly. I think I might completely purge them from the galaxy. You know, I don't want a species that looks like this inside my empire, although they are collectivists. And they're actually phonetic materials, just like me. So, despite the fact that they are ridiculously ugly, they look like the offspring of Jabba the Hutt and some sort of lizard, the garden variety, they might be useful. And yeah, you know, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what type of territory they occupy here. They occupy 2 planets to the northwest, right? And the empire, the Northern Empire, the Grokman Empire, is expanded by 2. Again, that's fine. I think there'll be no match for us. So that's totally, totally acceptable. Now, hostile fleets, alien vessels. Where might those be? Down here. Theta vessels. Okay, that's fine. So again, we're just exploring as many planets as we can. Fully upgraded. Fantastic. Now, before our episode ends, because to be honest, the episode is about to end in about 2 or 3 minutes. Just double check to make sure that there's nothing else we can do here. For example, on our home planet of Terrascia, we have some tiles that need to be upgraded if we have the resources for it. For example, we could use a power plant here. That's fine. Over here on Magnetograd. You know, I don't like the name of this. I know I've already changed it this episode, but let's go and change it again. Let's change it to Magnograd. That's way better, right? Magnograd. Yeah, easier to pronounce. Almost 5 pops. Well, let's be honest, almost 4 pops. So we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. So really, nothing is ready for planetary administration yet. That's fine. The good news is that Procyon has a spaceport, which means that it's got some defense. So that's good. With that being said, over here, let's go ahead and merge these guys together by pressing the G button. And that's our hotkey to merge them together. They are merged. And since they have a combined military strength of 320, we can go ahead and engage some crystalline entities, or at least I think we can. Why don't we go ahead and give it a shot before we end this episode, right? That's the idea. Again, that Corvette will get back to our land eventually. It'll take them some time. And in fact, once our construction ship is done, we can go ahead and go to Sirius and start getting us some more energy credits. Although minerals, again, are going to be what we want the most out of, you know, what we need the most. Because we don't really need energy credits that badly. I mean, we do have negative energy credits, but that's just because of the fact that there's a colonization cost of -8, which is really setting us back. So here in Sargas, let's go ahead and engage, you know, 1 or 2 of these guys. Oh, well, the problem is they're all clumped together. Why don't we go ahead and go somewhere else where they're not going to be so clumped? Maybe like over here in the Jothan system. Of course, it won't really matter that much later on, you know, once we are more advanced and don't have to worry about, you know, crystalline entities and things like this. Another thing to spend minerals on, in fact, is, so over here in Procyon, you notice that we're not making that much food. So the amount of growth on the planet is going to be very minimal, but we can go and add an orbital hydroponic farm, which will give us +3 planet food, which is just fantastic. While at the same time, over here in Terrascia, making a solar panel network once we get enough minerals. So it'll give us some more energy. It's a very good thing, right? Right, so over here in Jaffian, we're going to go ahead and engage some of these crystalline entities just to see basically how our weapon systems compare. Because we do have more military power, but just barely. New research over here. Let's go and see what we want to unlock here. Research speed. See, it's good to take the research speeds early on, because that's going to help you on later on. So we're going to take the increased advanced AI research tech. I'm going to try to bait this unit over here if I can. And let's slow it down really fast. So we are actually fighting basically our first unit. Oh, construction ships have nothing to do. Let's go ahead and change that really fast. So this construction ship needs something to do. Why don't we go ahead and send it out to the Sirius system, where I can make some mining stations, right? That's fine. Have them do something, right? Keep them occupied. Because when they're not occupied, that's when you have problems. And then we'll survey a system over here, that's fine. Right, so back to the first fleet with Heather Channing. We're going to try to increase her skill as much as possible before we get involved in a war with somebody else. And we just lost a Corvette. But that's okay, because we're going to be making lots and lots of Corvettes. As long as we get some experience out of this, it will be worth it. Just make sure that we're not going to lose any other Corvettes. We might actually lose yet another Corvette. Oh, that's bad news. If we lose 3 Corvettes in one engagement with space entities, that's pretty pathetic. Really. Like, incredibly pathetic. It might just be that our weapon system is incredibly inefficient towards crystal entities. We've actually lost 3 Corvettes so far. Cross my fingers we don't lose 4. In fact, let's go ahead and queue up some more Corvettes once we have enough resources. You know, I don't really care about you guys. Don't really want to talk to you right now. Yeah. So let's go ahead and make yet another Corvette as soon as we can. And this is a disaster. We should probably have some overwhelming military advantage over these sorts of enemies before we engage. If we lose a 5th Corvette, we lost a 5th Corvette. Seriously. Well, again, this is just an absolute disaster. But we'll repair the rest of these guys. We'll train some more. And kind of lick our wounds. I guess it could be worse. So they're going to go back into Solus. I'm going to send them back over there. And our construction ship is okay. That's good. Yeah, that's bad news, guys. You know, I didn't want to lose that many units, but again, you don't know until you try, right? So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 7. Stay tuned for episode 8. We're going to build up that military. Get a military strength of about 400, 500. Kind of just go around cleaning up our neighborhood. Taking out the trash. Taking out these crystalline entities. Continue our surveys. And developing some of our planets. Again, eventually we will, go to war. With who? I don't know. We'll choose. I think the most reasonable choice would be, again, the Gratian Empire, but we could change our mind later on. So guys, I hope you guys really liked this episode. Stay tuned for the next ones. Again, my internet speed is quite a bit faster. And now that I'm in the United States, I will be pumping these videos out as fast as I can. So, again, thanks you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode. Take care.